You know, I absolutely love the titling of this movie. I think it's just such a hilarious thing to go, oh, here we go again. I mean, what about if they do a third movie? What are they going to call that? How could we resist it? So Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is the long-awaited sequel to the original first Mamma Mia film, which came out back in 2008, 10 years ago, and this is basically the story about 10 years later. We see Sophie, who is now pregnant, and we also get to see the backstory of Donna, who had now passed away, and we get to see how she met the three individual fathers from the first movie, and how her story evolved, and how she became pregnant with Sophie in the first place, while also tying together the main story that's going on in the present day, and it's just a really nice story overall. It's a nice continuation one from what we had before. Now, the first movie is a bit of family classic for me. You know, my family, we absolutely love that movie. I've seen it so many times. I think it's a great film overall. I mean, I love musicals. I'm a big fan of musicals as is. I'm a big fan of ABBA as well. So to take those two elements, make a film about it, you've got a pretty good deal there. And I think that this movie was a great continuation from what we had. And I think the first movie is definitely a standout. This movie is not a bad rival. Now, Lily James plays the younger version of Donna, or the younger version of Meryl Streep in this film, and she was fantastic. I mean, Lily James is pretty much my ultimate crush in Hollywood. I think she's phenomenal in everything. I've pretty much been in love with her ever since Baby Driver, and I think she is absolutely wonderful in this movie. She's really good, she's so charming, she just has that motive, you know, she really has that energy that just captures this happiness and captures this, you know, wonderful spree of just what she's going through, and, you know, she really has so much energy in this movie, and that's great. And I've never actually seen Lily James sing or dance before. I didn't even know she was even capable of doing so, but she is most definitely capable of doing so. She's very good here. Just every little performance she gets to do, she really does stand out, and she really just, you know, you can't take your eyes off her. She absolutely steals the show, and I think she's great here. And she really did not necessarily nail Meryl Streep, but I didn't want her to do a young Meryl Streep. You know, I didn't want her to copy Meryl Streep's mannerisms. I wanted her to make the character her own, and she definitely did that, and she definitely gave a fantastic performance in this movie. Also, I think the three actors who played the three younger dads were also all very good. I wasn't sure how I was going to take to them, because obviously you have three huge actors who play them in the main line, where you have, you know, Pierce Brosnan, Stellan Skarsgård, and Colin Firth. But in here, you know, we have pretty much three unknowns, but they were actually all very good. Especially, I think, the guy who played young Harry, or young Colin Firth, which was Hugh Skinner, he was absolutely brilliant. Like, he really nailed that Colin Firth nervousness, you know, he really nailed that home. And he really brought home that character. I think he was really good there. And he also has a great performance early on in the movie. I think he was really good. And his particular song he gets early on in the film is one of the standouts, I think. I think it's a really awesome performance. And he just has this great, you know, energy and kind of like this really awesome way of portraying a young Colin Firth. I think he was really good here. And also Josh Dillon, who plays the young Stellan Skarsgård, he was easily the best of the three. Like, in terms of his performance, in terms of his singing, he's actually a really good singer. Like, he does the song with Lily James, and it's just a really awesome performance. It's probably my favourite of the soundtrack this season, or of this film. I think it's a really awesome addition, and he's really good. He's got a lot of, again, energy. Energy is the word that comes to mind when I think about this movie and all of its characters and its actors and its performances. And again, Josh Dillon, he just has that energy. And while, again, didn't necessarily portray the best younger version of Stellan Skarsgård, he made the character his own, and I think he really brought himself into it. And again, that performance really gives it all. Now, you'll all know that the fabulous Cher is in this film, and she is an absolute scene stealer, as you would expect. I mean, in the trailer, that's exactly what she does, and in the film, she follows through. She is just so exuberant and just so outlandish that, you know, every time she shows up, I mean, I said Lily James was the scene stealer, but it's nothing in comparison to Cher. When she shows up, she just dominates, you know, and she probably has the most standout performance of the entire film, because it's just, you know, it's Cher, and you can't not ignore Cher. It doesn't go under the radar, you know, it's just not possible. So to see her do the performance, and it's, you know, in typical Cher style, she's so, you know, she's got such a big voice, and to hear that in this film is really interesting, but fantastic, of course. And she is just wonderful in this movie. She really plays a great role. She's not in it too much, but she's in it just enough to the point where, you know, it's more than a cameo, but not a full leading role. And I think that's perfect for this type of character that she plays in the movie. And again, her performance is just phenomenal. Also, Andy Garcia has a role in this movie, and Andy Garcia is really funny in this movie. I didn't expect it, because Andy Garcia is an actor who recently has been taking a lot more of a comedic route, and in this movie he has this really interesting role where he's kind of this weird little side character, like introverted side character who Amanda Seyfried knows. but then you find out he actually has a connection to Cher's character, and it's really interesting, and he actually joins in with the performance with Cher, and it's a great scene. This movie is just super feel good. I mean, that's exactly what this movie is, and that's what you should know about this movie going in. You know, if you want to go and just see a movie, have a good time, and just enjoy yourself, there is no better film out right now than Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. You need to go. Like, if you just want to just go for like a happy movie, this is what you want to do. This movie made my jaw physically hurt from smiling so much. It was just, you know, it's so nice. It's a really sweet, nice film, and I think that's perfect. You know, especially in these kind of times, you know, we're not in the best place in the world right now. So to be able to escape everything that goes on and just go into the movie theater and just experience something like this, you know, it just takes all your worries away. It just takes everything away, and you just get lost in the music, and you just get lost in the movie. And that's exactly what the cinema's there for. And this movie embraces that entirely. And again, kicking it off with all the music, and all the performances, it's really nice. And you won't be able to come out of this movie, you know, if you don't even smile once, I don't know what's wrong with you. This movie also nails home the emotion, like especially at the end. There's a really powerful scene at the end where I was actually on the verge of tears, and it was actually a really emotional, hard-hitting scene. And again, it was more like happy, you know, it wasn't like necessarily sad, it was more like a happy kind of cry type thing. But again, it was really emotional, and I'm not going to say what it is, obviously due to spoilers, but it's got a really interesting thing about it which definitely drives home the emotion. And I think there are quite a lot of emotional scenes and a lot of emotional lines of dialogue. There's one particular line which is in the trailer that Colin first says, you know, where he says, you know, they're talking about, oh, Amanda Seyfried, she just wanted to make her mother proud, and, you know, he says, as if she hasn't done that all her life. And it's just that you get little lines like that which are really nice, and you just kind of hit you there, and it really makes you fall into it again. And the emotion, it really is driven home throughout the entire length of this film. And of course, I can't talk about Mamma Mia and not talk about ABBA. I mean, their music is phenomenal. I mean, it's just one of the best things in the world. I mean, I was a little bit worried going into this because I kind of feel like in the first movie they used all of their best songs, you know, they used all the greatest hits, and they do repeat a couple of them in this film, but they repeat the ones that didn't really get too much of a focus in the first film, like either they didn't get a full length or they didn't even show up in the film in any large capacity. So in this film, like, there are a couple that you will find on the first soundtrack, but it was actually a lot more developed here, and I think it works a lot better. Like, for example, What's the Name of the Game? Like, that one gets a lot more of a spotlight here, which is a lot better than the first one did. And then also, I noticed a lot of the musical cues, like, in the background, you can hear all the musical cues, and they're actually all based on songs from the first movie, like original ABBA songs. But even when, you know, moving away from the original ones, even when you look at the ones that weren't in the first movie and debut here, they're great. Like, again, all the ones that are used with the younger dads, I think, are all brilliant. And even, again, there are just a lot of other ones. And I will say as well, the ending of this movie has this massive group performance, and it's probably the best one of the entire thing. Like, Cher leads it, and you have everyone else come into it. It's a really brilliant way to end the movie, and it just leaves you on such a high note that, you know, you'll come out of this movie, you want to sing, you want to dance, and that's just the way it should be. And that final performance, again, just nails that idea home. Overall, I loved Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Like I said, I loved the first movie, so to go into this and loving it pretty much just as much, maybe even more, I think really gives a lot to how this movie is really going to be perceived. And I know I'm quite late with this review. I've just kind of been putting this movie off for a while until I got the right opportunity to go. But I think that this movie, you know, it was worth the wait for me. I think I really enjoyed just everything about it. And, you know, I was looking at my top 10 movies of the year, because every time I go to the cinema, I always check my top 10 list and think, you know, is this going to fit in, and where is it going to fit in, and I have to change my list every single time. I've put this movie at number 4 right now, and I think that this movie is going to stay in the top 10, because it's just, again, it's such a feel-good movie. It may not be necessarily the best movie, you know, the dialogue isn't exactly always on point, you know, but I think that this movie, it's just the overall feel-good nature of it, and, you know, that's what you go to the movies for. You go to the movies for a good time. And that's what this movie gave me. This movie gave me a fantastic cinema experience, and that's what I wanted to see. And overall, I adored this film. So did you guys see Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again? If you did, make sure you let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let's have a discussion about this movie in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews from me, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. And I hope to see you guys again in my next video.